Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Online Motivation TV channel on YouTube as well as on the onlinemotivation.com. Okay, you're with me, Hilman going on solo today, and today I'm going to talk about acceptance, and do not be critical of yourself as well as do not be critical of others. Okay, here's something that I wish to share with you guys about my past. A lot of my friends who knew me before this know me as a very confrontational and a very difficult person to work with, because one of the mere reasons as to why I was behaving like that, and most importantly I didn't even realize I was like that, because I was very critical on people. When I'm critical of people, okay, one of the irony is I tend to not be critical of myself. And then we live in a world where we are self-indulged, where we often think that we are always on the right, where everyone else is in the wrong. Therefore, we distance ourselves from our friends. And this has been one of the most key factors as to why I was much of a not kind of a people-liking type of person back then. You see, one thing that I realized in my pursuit into counseling, in my pursuit when I was in the entertainment industry, is that the way we communicate with people differs from individual to another individual. Some people requires a little bit more patience, while some people are more obliging and more agreeable to whatever that we have to say. We tend, as a person who is very critical of other people, we tend to prefer working with people who are always agreeing to our thoughts and agreeing to our ideas and our opinions. But we never reciprocate that actions by accepting them or by giving them that compliment that of them accepting of ideas. The thing about it is, what I realized was I was very critical about other people, right? I must have something to say about it. I must have something to object about it. And when people object to my ideas, I get very agitated and I get very confrontational. You see, this automatically created a very stressful and a very negative environment surrounding me. So today, my friends, I'm going to relate to you why we shouldn't be very critical of others, and the best thing of all, we shouldn't be very critical of ourselves. Everyone is made by God to have a certain type of weakness and a certain type of strength. In our everyday development as an individual, going through the life cycle, surviving the chaotic lives out there that we have, we are always, recommended to always see the bright side of life. Therefore, we are always recommended and constantly being reminded to see the positive in everything. It is hard, but sometimes having that positive thought in any areas of our life or in any situation does help us to ease that tension, to reduce the stress and many other factors. You think, we tend to think that by being critical of other people, we are actually showing ourselves that we are much more superior and much more intelligent than other people. The fact is, are we really, not the fact, but the question is, are we really showing our intelligence, or are we just showing that we are egoistic and very provocative? I got a feeling that it's always the second thought. No one in this world will hardly think of someone who is very critical of things to be someone who is intelligent, right? Often we always think that people who criticize on everything other than their own perspective or their own work are basically those self appraisal, or those what we call narcissistic individuals. Okay, We don't want to fall into that category. It is so belittling, or it is so frustrating if someone actually labels you as a narcissistic person, because this is someone who self-indulged, who loves himself or herself so much that he or she fails to see that other people are actually making a lot of significance in their life as well. In my life, or in anyone's life, we have to applaud other people for contributing to something towards our success in our own lives. All right? Because for the fact is, not all the time our success is through our own hard work. It's people who help us, it's people who motivate us, who drive us towards that promised land, which is success. But what we fail to see most of the time is those contributions from other people, but we often see that it is my hard work, is me, and me. This me factor is, jolting down to that whole narcissistic circle, which we do not want to envelop into ourselves. Which is why it is always a common practice in any graduation, in any convocation, in any university, that while you are actually graduating with your degree or your master's or PhD, they will always tell you to applaud the people who have always supported you in your pursuit to higher education. Most of the time it's our parents, most of the time it's our loved ones, definitely. All right, this is to kind of like throw away that thought that whatever that comes in my way, the success that I build upon is all me, and me. Never had that thought, because that thought is really the one reason that is so slowly deteriorating you as an individual to be like. When I was very critical of people, I noticed there's a whole chain of reactions. All right, my friends started to distance from me. All right, we see a lot of factors such as, nobody wants to work with me in projects, and you hunger for people to work under you. Therefore, you tend to just pull people into your group without asking or seeking their permission or seeking their agreement. Things just get way out of hand. And when narcissistic people, or when people who are very critical of other people become a leader, you can just imagine the amount of pressure that he or she will impart on the rest of the other group members. So I learned my mistake the hard way. And as I mentioned in my previous videos, mistakes makes us stronger. Just that you have to do a different strategy, or come up with a different strategy, and you have to also learn from that mistake and then make it better the next time, so that you don't repeat those mistakes. So what I did in my pursuit towards becoming a much more self-aware type of person was that today I don't really criticize so much about what other people think, about what other people do. Instead, I just give them my heartfelt blessing towards whatever things they want to do. If someone comes to me and then share with me their idea of any type of things that they wish to do, I will just smile and then say, well, good on you, work towards it. In the past, I'll be like, going and then questioning, and then this actually creates a tension. When I felt that myself, the moment I share an idea to a bunch of people, and then the people get critical of my idea, you will feel that agitation to just sometimes just give that punch on their face for disagreeing with what you want to do. So today I begin to feel that what's the whole point of disagreeing? If that particular idea doesn't really disrupt all your personal beliefs, or doesn't really interrupt any of your plans, just give them that blessing. Just give them that motivation to actually move forward. Because if they are successful, all right, you can be part of that success. So think about it this way: what's the reason of people being critical of other people? It all boils down to insecurity. It all boils down to a lot of negative thoughts. right? The moment we see someone who is much more demanding, who is much more domineering than us, which is much more successful than us, we had that sense of envy and sense of jealousy in us, that we tend to always think that he's like that, he doesn't have to brag so much, I could be better than him. Those are those negative thoughts that keep on lurking in our mind. These negative thoughts needs to be challenged or needs to be changed. So what you do is you give them, you just agree to their success, you just agree to whatever they said, because they done their fair bit of work and they don't have any disagreement with you. In the future, maybe you and him can work out something. The moment you are very critical of other people, right, you momentarily and automatically show your insecurity towards everyone. Then when this insecurity happens, you show them your protective layers, you show them your defense mechanism by arguing and then trying to make a point and stuff like that. My next question will be, is it worthwhile to criticize on people? Especially when that person doesn't really have any, whatever he does or he or she does doesn't really have any effect towards you. Is it really worthwhile to disagree on what they want to say? Okay, the only time I'm critical if it's something to do with, very sensitive topic, then maybe we might want to kind of like have a certain, we might bet to defer to whatever they say. But when it comes to an idea, like his or her idea, what they want to do, what they are passionate in doing, my friends, make friends, not war. Just accept their ideas, because the more we are more acceptable towards others, the lesser disappointment that we get. Okay, a lot of times we get disappointed so many times because we expect a lot from other people. All right, when I was a teacher, I have a lot of disappointment because I expect a lot from my students. So when they fail their exam, when they are not meeting my expectation, I get so disappointed with them, and therefore my treatment towards them differ from student to another student. Okay, but when I was a counselor, when I became a counselor, I am trained to accept rather than expect. So if my client doesn't really show any signs of progress, I accept that he or she is making and have good thoughts that he or she is making progress, just that he haven't met to that particular stage just yet. So when I accept that person as it is, I tend to be much more calm, and I have very little disappointment. So that is the one huge factor that I saw in my pursuit from changing one career to another career. And when I was in the entertainment industry, okay, I was more acceptable because I accept every talent and every actor and models and stuff like that as they are, whatever they can contribute. I tend not to expect anything more than them if that is what they can give to me, right? The performance that they can give. So we just accept it, and then we have lesser disappointment. But what I saw from other producers out there, they are expecting more, they are demanding more. Therefore, they are always the one being stressful and always being disappointed all the time. So being critical of other people doesn't make you look intelligent or smart, or but it looks you represent yourself as someone who is difficult, impulsive, compulsive, and all the negative characteristics is now being arrowed upon you. We don't want to be labeled as someone of that negativity. We sometimes see a person who is so perfect as an individual, but then he actually spread those stress factors to other people, but he himself or he or she will just be a perfect person. That is another factor that we don't want to see in ourselves. My friends, having reflections, self-awareness, as well as some self-realization upon ourselves, okay, is very important. We have to accept people for what they are, and then when we accept them, we have little disappointment. The moment we expect them to be what we want them to be, all right, then the other party will ask us, what rights do you have to tell me what I need to be? So in general, do not be critical of people, because you don't want people to be critical of you as well. So if you don't want people to treat you that way, the best is not to treat them that way as well. A lot of times we fail to see that things happen in a two-way traffic. What we often see is, what I say is the law, therefore you have to follow. But what we fail to see is the rationality from the other party, as well as the reasonings from various other parties that might be very conclusive and might be very effective for us. So, in order to be less critical of other people, let's develop this new sense of active listening. Okay, I always consider myself as a talker, an extrovert, whatever it is. Therefore, I'm very controversial in the past. But today, as a counselor, as an educator, I tend to be much more on the listening side. Except when, of course, I'm relating something to you guys. Of course, when I'm lecturing or when I'm teaching, then I have to talk more. But on most accounts, I'm willing to listen to people these days, because I feel that sometimes when in listening, you could actually learn one or two things from them. So life is a learning journey, so let's all create that positive learning experience together by start to be less critical of people and to accept people for what they are, so that we have little disappointment. So that's my 2 cents opinion about being critical of people, and I see you in my other videos where we talk about other extreme issues about individuals and how we can stop them and how we can change all these maladaptive behaviors to become a much more productive and progressive person that we are always expecting ourselves to be. Okay, therefore I should sign out right now from the Online Motivation TV channel, with me, Hilman Basri. Catch me on my other videos where we talk about other extreme issues. Alright, see you next time. Bye bye.